Take a moment, just pause whatever you're doing, because what I'm about to share with you is the kind of story that most people never talk about, even though it's happening in neighborhoods exactly like yours, in cities exactly like yours, maybe even on a street you've driven down 100 times without ever knowing. This is the story of a boy named Tyler. Tyler was a normal kid, happy kid, the kind of boy who made everyone around him smile. He loved basketball, he loved video games, and he loved making his mom laugh at the dinner table. But something happened to Tyler, something that started so slowly, so quietly, so cleverly, that by the time anyone realized what had been going on, years had already passed. This story is not easy to hear, but I need you to hear it. Because if you are a parent, a teacher, an aunt, an uncle, a coach, a neighbor, or if you are a young person watching this right now, this story could be the most important thing you ever sit down and listen to. So stay with me all the way to the end. Because at the end of this story, I'm going to give you something, a set of tools, clear and simple, that you can use starting today to protect the children in your life. Let's begin. Tyler James was 10 years old when his family moved into a quiet suburb just outside of Columbus, Ohio. It was one of those neighborhoods where people mowed their lawns on Saturday mornings, left holiday decorations up a week too long, and waved at each other from driveways. His parents, Mark and Diane, were hardworking people. Mark was a logistics manager who left the house before 7 every morning. Diane worked at a dental office, part-time at first, then full-time when the bills started stacking up the way bills tend to do. Tyler was their only child. And like a lot of only children in households where both parents work, Tyler spent a significant amount of time by himself. He'd come home from school, drop his backpack by the front door, make himself a snack, and wait. Sometimes his mom got home by 5, sometimes closer to 6:30. Sometimes his dad didn't come home until after Tyler was already in bed. They loved their son deeply. That is not in question. But love, as we're going to discover in this story, does not automatically equal awareness. And awareness, paying close attention, is exactly what Tyler needed most. Now, 2 houses down from Tyler's family lived a woman named Sandra. Sandra was 34 years old. She was friendly, well-dressed, always had something baking in the oven, and seemed to genuinely enjoy the neighborhood. She had a husband, a man named Daniel, who worked in defense contracting, the kind of job that took him away from home for months at a time. When Tyler and his family first moved in, Sandra came over with a welcome basket, banana bread, some local coupons, a little note that said, "So glad to have you in the neighborhood." Diane thought she was lovely. Mark thought she was the kind of neighbor you're lucky to have. And Tyler just thought she had really good snacks. It started the way these things always start, innocently. Sandra would wave to Tyler when he got off the school bus. She'd call across the yard, "Tyler, you want some lemonade? I just made a fresh batch." Tyler, being 10 and thirsty and alone, would say yes. They'd sit on her porch. She'd ask him about school. He'd tell her about his teacher, about the kid who got sent to the principal, about basketball tryouts. She listened. She laughed at his jokes. She remembered the things he told her. For a boy who spent his afternoons alone, this felt good. Really good. Over the following weeks, Tyler started going over more often. Sandra had a big flat screen TV in her living room and every video game console you could name. She let him play without any time limits. She ordered pizza on Friday afternoons. She took him for ice cream in her SUV. She never did anything that felt wrong. Not yet. She was building something. Slowly, carefully, the way a spider builds a web, not all at once, but one thin thread at a time. By the time the web is finished, you can barely see it. And by the time the fly realizes it's trapped, it's already too late. Tyler told his mom about Sandra sometimes, just casually. "I was at Sandra's, she made cookies." Diane thought, well, it's good he has a responsible adult nearby. Sandra seems safe, she's a neighbor, we know her. And that right there, that assumption of safety, is something we need to talk about. Because the most dangerous people in a child's life are rarely strangers. Let me say that again, because it's important. The most dangerous people in a child's life are rarely strangers. Studies consistently show that in the overwhelming majority of cases where a child is harmed or exploited, the person responsible is someone the family already knew, someone they trusted, someone who had been welcomed into their world. A neighbor, a family friend, a coach, a tutor, a babysitter, Someone exactly like Sandra. Tyler was 11 when Sandra first asked him to keep a secret. It was a small thing. She had taken him to get ice cream after school without telling his mom first. When they got back, Sandra said with a little laugh, "Let's not mention the ice cream to your mom, okay? She'll think I'm spoiling you. This is just our little thing." Tyler giggled. It felt like a fun, harmless secret between friends. He didn't tell his mom. And just like that, without Tyler having any idea, a boundary had been crossed. A wall had been quietly knocked down. The idea had been planted in Tyler's young mind that it was normal to hide things from his parents when it came to time with Sandra. This is called grooming. And I want every single person watching this video to understand what that word means, because it is not a word they teach enough in schools. It is not a word most parents explain to their children. And it is precisely that silence, that gap in our knowledge that groomers count on. Grooming is a process. It is deliberate, it is patient, it is calculating. A groomer identifies a child who is vulnerable, perhaps lonely, perhaps craving attention, perhaps in a home where the parents are stretched too thin. Then they position themselves as a safe, fun, loving presence. They build trust with the child and with the parents. They give gifts, they give time, they give emotional warmth. They make the child feel seen and special. And then slowly, carefully, over time, they begin to test limits. Small secrets first, then bigger ones, then gradually, step by step, they push the relationship into territory that is deeply wrong. And by the time that happens, the child has been so thoroughly conditioned to trust this person, to protect this person, to keep secrets for this person, that they often don't even recognize what's happening as harmful. That is grooming. And it happened to Tyler, one gentle push at a time. Months became a year became 2. Tyler turned 12, then 13. His relationship with Sandra had become a routine so deeply embedded in his life that he didn't question it. She had become the person he talked to about things he didn't feel comfortable bringing to his parents. She had created intentionally a situation where she was his confidant, his comfort, his safe space. But here is what was actually happening underneath all of that warmth. Tyler was being isolated. Slowly, quietly, Sandra had become the center of his world. He didn't hang out with his school friends as much. He wasn't as open with his parents as he used to be. He had a whole life happening 2 houses down the street that his mom and dad knew almost nothing about. Sandra had engineered it that way. Now, I want to stop here and speak directly to the parents watching this. If you notice your child pulling away from friends their own age, if you notice a particular adult seems to have an unusual and disproportionate level of influence over your child, if your child gets defensive or upset when you ask about time spent with a specific adult, please do not dismiss those observations as just a phase. Those are signals. They deserve your attention. Mark and Diane noticed Tyler was quieter. They noticed he seemed distracted. Mark mentioned to Diane once that it felt like Tyler would rather be at Sandra's than at home. Diane chalked it up to the fact that Sandra had better video games and no rules. They had no idea. None. And I am not telling the story to blame them. I am telling it because what they went through is what thousands of families go through, because nobody gave them a roadmap. Nobody told them what to look for. Nobody sat them down and said, here is how this happens. Here is what it looks like from the outside. Here is what you can do. So I'm going to be that person today. Tyler was 17 when it happened. Daniel, Sandra's husband, came home unexpectedly early from a long assignment abroad. He had been gone for nearly 7 months. He came home to a house that felt different, a wife who seemed rattled by his return, and eventually, through a chain of events that unraveled faster than anyone could control, the truth came out. What had been happening in that house over those years with a neighborhood boy who had trusted the wrong adult, it all came into the light. The community was shaken. People who had waved to Sandra at the mailbox, who had eaten her banana bread, who had complimented her garden, they were stunned, confused. Some were angry. Some were in disbelief. But the person hit hardest by all of it was Tyler, because he hadn't understood until the very moment it all exploded around him just how deeply he had been manipulated. How the friendship he had believed in had never been what he thought it was. How the person he had trusted most outside of his family had been the entire time, taking advantage of his loneliness, his youth, his innocence. Tyler sat in his room the night everything came out, and he felt something he had never felt before. Not anger, not shame, something worse. He felt invisible. Like the years of his life, years that should have been filled with first crushes and basketball games and road trips and terrible haircuts and all the beautiful, ordinary chaos of growing up, had been quietly stolen. And he hadn't even seen it happening. He cried in his room for a long time. And then his mother came in, sat on the edge of his bed, and said something that cracked him open completely. She said, "Tyler, why didn't you tell me?" And Tyler looked at his mom through his tears and said the truest, most heartbreaking thing. "Mom, nobody told me this was wrong. I didn't know. I really didn't know." Tyler got help. His parents got him a therapist, a good one, and for the first time in years, Tyler had a truly safe space to say everything he had been carrying, to process what had happened to him, to begin the long, slow, non-linear work of healing. It was not easy. It is never easy. Healing from something like this doesn't happen in a straight line. There were good weeks and terrible weeks. There were days when Tyler felt like himself again, and days when he felt like he was back in that room, invisible. But Tyler kept going because Tyler is strong, and because he had people around him, finally, fully around him, who loved him and showed up for him every single day. Today, Tyler is 23 years old. He is studying social work. He wants to be the person that he needed when he was 12. He wants to work with young people, to help families understand the warning signs, to be part of the solution. And when I asked Tyler what he would say, if he could say one thing to every child watching this video right now, he didn't hesitate. He said, "You are allowed to feel uncomfortable. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to leave. And you are always allowed to tell someone, even if you were told not to. Especially if you were told not to. The secret is not yours to keep. It never was. These are safety rules every child should know." If you are a kid or a teenager listening, remember these simple rules. 1, your body belongs to you. No one has the right to touch your body or talk about your body in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable. Your body is yours. 2, you can always say no. Even if the person is older than you, kind to you, or someone you know, if something makes you uncomfortable, you can say no and walk away. 3, never keep bad secrets. Good secrets are things like surprise gifts. Bad secrets make you feel scared, confused, or worried. If an adult tells you to keep a secret from your parents, tell a trusted adult right away. 4, trust your feelings. If something feels wrong in your stomach or makes you feel uncomfortable, listen to that feeling. Leave and tell someone you trust. 5, it is never your fault. If an adult does something wrong to you, it is not your fault. You are not in trouble. The adult is the one who did something wrong. What parents should do. Parents should talk to their kids about safety early and often. Teach children about safe and unsafe touches. Know the adults who spend time with your child. Pay attention if someone always wants to be alone with them or gives them too many gifts. Most importantly, make your home a place where your child feels safe to tell you anything. And when your child speaks up, believe them first. A safe adult will never ask a child to keep secrets from their parents. Tyler told me something else when we spoke. He said, the hardest part isn't what happened to me. The hardest part is knowing that right now, today, there are kids in every state, in every city, in neighborhoods exactly like mine, going through exactly what I went through. And nobody is talking about it loudly enough. So let's be loud about it. If this story moved, you share it right now. Not tomorrow, right now. Send it to every parent you know, post it, forward it, put it somewhere that another parent will see it, because the parent who sees it might be the parent whose child's life it saves. If you are a parent tonight, sit down with your child. Not with a speech, not with a lecture, but with a conversation. Ask them how they're doing. Ask them if any adult has ever made them feel weird or uncomfortable. Ask them if they know they can always come to you no matter what. And then listen. Really listen. If you are a young person watching this and something in this story felt familiar, please tell someone. You deserve help. You deserve safety. You are not alone, and what happened or is happening to you is not your fault. And if you want to see more stories like this, stories that educate, that protect families, that shine a light on the things we don't talk about enough, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Because this kind of content is not just entertainment, it is armor. And your family deserves to be armored. Tyler is okay. He's more than okay. He's out here every day trying to make sure that fewer and fewer children grow up to say the words that nearly broke him. Nobody told me. Well, now you've been told. What you do with it is up to you. Take care of yourselves, take care of your children, and I'll see you in the next one.